It is always exciting when the new books arrive. I don't know why. Hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Lisa. I'm a Catholic marathon mom. This is my 11th year homeschooling, and I thought I might share my 2018-2019 school curriculum with you. It is always exciting when the new books arrive. I don't know why. Just like the kids, when the summer is winding down, I get a little bit sad that it's time to get back into schedule and start with school, because I know that means work and studying and things get hard and the schedule gets full. But it's still exciting to get new books. So we've got our books here, and I'm going to open up these boxes and I'm going to show you what we're going to use for 2018-2019 school year. This year we have our two youngest kids in our homeschool. That means 6th grade and 8th grade. We use a Catholic curriculum through Mother of Divine Grace School. I'll open these up and show you what I got. It's a big one. Wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. Oh my word. For music, there is this cool book. It's called Ready to Use Music Activities Kit. And there's a lot of lessons in here, kind of learning the different notes, the keys, the timing of music, and different instruments and things like that. And now this very beloved, worn book has been in our homeschool for many years. This is the Harp and Laurel Wreath, Poetry and Dictation for the Classical Curriculum. You guys, get this book. When we started with Mother of Divine Grace, I believe about 5 years ago, we started with them. On our syllabus, it said poetry, and that our kids were going to memorize and be able to recite poetry. And I thought that was insane. I thought there's enough to do already with our kids' schoolwork. Why was I going to add this into their life, especially my little ones? Like, really? But you know what? They can do it. Okay, so you may have heard it explained that there's different stages of learning. There's the grammatical stage, the dialectic stage, the rhetorical stage, and then those things can be split up into different stages as well. So our kids have been able to go from learning really tiny poems, just 4 lines long, to poems that are pages and pages and pages long. It has shocked us as parents. Their grandparents love it when they call and say, "Oh, can I show you my poem? I just finished it." It's amazing. One of our tricks in our household is we set those poems that they're learning to a tune. So they pick some song that's maybe in their mind or something that makes sense with the cadence of the poem, and they will memorize the poem along with that tune. And part of their big reveal of the poem, I'll ask them, "Okay, now go ahead, recite your poem without the tune," you know, because they can kind of like sing it along. Oh, it's just really cool. So again, this year, they'll be learning some poetry out of here. Let me see what one of our last ones was. So let's see, this one was my daughter's, and she was learning something from Julius Caesar. And it was, you know, a pretty involved poem. And then our son was learning, oh, Paul Revere's Ride. Can you see how long this poem is? Can you believe that? And he recited that. That's very cool. So yeah, consider adding poetry recitation, memorization, and recitation into your homeschool. It's really amazing. Okay, so for math, we're going to use Saxon. We've used Saxon as a math book and learning process for several years now. I originally didn't love it, but let me tell you why I do now. Usually when you do math facts and ideas, kids learn some ways of doing math, doing different problems, and then they test on it, and then they move on to the next idea, technique, and they move on and they keep going forward and forward. Well, then they take a test, and then it's got all of this information from the last few chapters, say, and that stuff can kind of get forgotten along the way. So what Saxon does is, in all the different exercises, every time they do a new idea in math, they teach the format, they teach the way to do it and the reasons behind it. There's practice questions, then the kids do 30 questions, and within those 30 questions are some questions from the brand new material, and then other questions included that go back through these other lessons. So as the kids are going through the year, they are still testing on things from back on lesson 5. They could be further along in that book, like lesson 27, and they're still going to get some lesson 15 questions and things like that. And that is really reinforcing some of those older lessons that could be easy to forget. So this year we're going to be doing Algebra 1, and for my 6th grader we're doing Saxon 7-6. It's just the way they number them. And so this one comes with, I bought both of them in the homeschool packet form. And so it's got the book with all the explanations of how to do the lessons that I work through with them. I read it, every lesson with them. We work through the practice sets together. We talk about them, any questions, what's tricky here. I'd love to not use those words hard or what's troubling you. You know, what's tricky here? What are the tricks that we can use to figure out these problems? You know, that kind of language to keep it positive, you know, as much as possible. It helps us as adults, it helps them too as they're learning hard concepts. And so this comes also with a solutions manual that really helps me to move along. Sometimes I get stuck, maybe I don't remember this kind of formulas and stuff. And then also the tests and worksheets that they use, so it comes in a whole little bundle. And same thing with the Algebra 1, so that's what my daughter will be doing for 8th grade, and my son will be doing for 6th grade math. This year for part of their English will be grammar, as it is every year, and the version they use is one that's called Easy Grammar, and it just moves through the different concepts in grammar, all the different types of wordings and punctuations and all the different things that go with grammar. This is the 6th grade version, and my daughter's got, this is the 8th grade version, and so it just walks you through. They've got reviews, cumulative reviews, tests, and things like that. And again, with a student workbook so that they can work through it, and then the test book. And it also has the answers in there so that I can follow along and make sure they're not making some little mistakes that then they carry through to the next ones. I want to grab it really quick when they make it and they can correct them quickly, right? In English, this is my daughter's favorite little activity when she was in 6th grade, and I hope my son likes it too. It's the Great Editing Adventure Series. And what's really fun about this book is that it kind of goes through like a private eye, and you're trying to find the different errors in the sentences, and it's very quick, and the kids get through it and done and move on to the next thing. And they love to get through things and done. For vocabulary and such, we're using Wordly Wise, and the numbers don't correlate with their grade that they're in, like, you know, book number, whatever. But it's just a pretty basic, like what I remember being in school, a list of words, their definitions, and going through and finding how they work. Sometimes there's crossword puzzles to work through at the end of the lessons and stuff. So just, again, moving through, learning some good vocabulary words. And like I mentioned, our school that we use the curriculum from is Mother of Divine Grace School, and we sign up as students within the school. You don't necessarily have to do that. You could buy their syllabus and buy the books as you see fit, or what works with your children or the subjects that you're studying that year, and then move through the syllabus as you like, or just buy the books on your own and make your own syllabus. But since I did not graduate with a teaching degree, I did not really expect to be a home educator when I started having kids. So for me, having lesson plans made out that I can print out, and which I do, I print them out every 2 weeks at a time. Part of their curriculum is Latin. I never studied Latin in elementary or college, ever. So coming across Latin has been very challenging to me as mom, but the kids are picking it up really well. And I think it has to do with the books. So there are a couple of books that we are using. My son for the 6th grade will continue in this beginning Latin. He'll be in level 3 this year. We did not teach our kids Latin starting from pre-K kinder or anything like that. Some people do. So at this point, as 6th grade and 8th grade, they would be further along in their Latin. But that's not a problem with Mother Divine Grace. They just require Latin as part of their curriculum. So this book series, the beginning Latin one, is one that Mother Divine Grace teachers themselves created, and it really walks the kids through really well, in my opinion. Then there's the Fundamentals of Latin Grammar, and this is also a really good book. There are different levels, and so my daughter's in this just the next level this year, and there are lessons, practices, then quizzes, and we just use the answer key, check to see where we're doing, how did they do, what could we, work on, similar thing, just like if we're doing English. So for science in 8th grade, my daughter has the 8th grade science that was developed also by Mother Divine Grace. It moves through very succinctly with lessons, workbook style, questions and answers, some sentences that she needs to write, in full sentences, the answers into like little paragraphs. So they're constantly wrapping together writing, grammar, handwriting, and then the content of whatever the subject matter is. So again, this comes with the answer keys and the little lessons for the day, and that's for her for 8th grade. Okay, so for science for my son, we have these 2 different books, and they're really cool. They are called the TOPS Learning Systems, and they're Pendulums and Balancing. They are different experiments and explanations that go along with it, and it's basically a beginning foray into physics. Simple concepts that they're trying to expose them to and then help them to get to learn, so that as we move through in science, we get up to that high school science, they're going to have that to remember. Also this year, he's going to be doing calligraphy. Now this was a big favorite for my daughter, and if you've got guys in your family, some of them are very artistic and some would prefer to be outside with a ball or building something with Legos. And we'll see how my son does. He's artistic as well, so we'll see if he likes it. But this is the calligraphy book that we used with my daughter, and it's awesome. It goes along talking about calligraphy, all the different interesting pens and things like that, a little bit of the history of calligraphy. But then we start in with like easy to learn alphabets and moving through. And we've got some special paper with the lines being pretty wide in between. Yeah, she just kind of follows along. This isn't something that's like graded. This is just something, again, developing them in a different sort of way, exposing them to something special, calligraphy. I talked about this series of art books in one of my other videos about teaching kids about their faith. This will be the book for 8th grade art, and it's called Art Through Faith. It's just really beautiful artwork and a lot of paintings and mosaics and things that they will learn about, read about, and then see the beautiful artwork. And for religion, both of them will be using Faith and Life series of books, and this is also pretty beautiful photographs and artwork in here, and it takes them through the Gospels and explaining the different stories in the Gospels, and then having them reflect and respond with their own feelings, and after prayer, writing what do these things mean to them, where does Jesus meet them as well. We also use the St. Joseph Baltimore Catechism. This is the number 2 they're going to be using again this year. The very basic St. Joseph Catechism, they started with like in 1st grade or so, and then moving through. So basically the way this works is they're questions. The very first question is, who made us? And the answer is, God made us. And so the kids follow along through these questions, and it is pretty extraordinary to see how they can memorize and then really own some of these answers. So it's pretty cool to watch the kids as they grow in their faith and stay rooted in the things that we believe in the Catholic Church. Adding in for history, I've got a couple of other books for the kids. We've got the Penguin Historical Atlas for Ancient Egypt, and the Rand McNally Historical Atlas of the World. And so these usually correspond right where they are in their syllabus for history. And as always, for them to be able to go and look and see something pictorially and on a map, it just reinforces everything that they're reading. So this year I did something a little different with the books that they have to read. So there's different seasons of life for everything, right? And when my kids were littler and we had a lot of time to go to the library and browse and sit and read together and snuggle and then grab a whole bunch of books and check them out and take them home in our tote, we visited the library pretty frequently, and I love it. The library is quiet. There's a lot of order with all the books on the shelves, and it's just a wonderful place to be, and the kids love it. They love that they're reading. This year I'm going to do something a little different. Usually I have gone online, I've found the books that we need to read along, whether it's history, whether it's English, religion, and I'll reserve them, and when I get a notification, I'm sure your library works the same way, you go over there and you pick up the book and you get it in. Well, I am not always so organized, and in the past my requests haven't gotten in there on a timely manner, so I'm not the only one homeschooling. We are not the only ones doing 6th grade and 8th grade, and many people are seeking the same books, I have found over the years, depending where I am in the schedule in our curriculum. What has happened in the past is if I don't have that book, I'll tell the kids, okay, no problem, Mom will reserve that book, let's move on to the next thing, and I get this look of, oh no, Mama, that's not how it's done. And they'll move on, but I have now created this little stress storm for that child, and I'm not making it up, but it is a real thing, and they feel the stress that now I am behind. And if anyone of you has ever had homework for children, because we had our oldest sons in school, and you have, say your kid is sick and they have to catch up on homework, that feeling of being behind is the worst. Well, when you're a homeschooler and you feel behind, it's very similar. And you feel behind and you're watching these days go by and Mom still doesn't have that book for me. Well, I don't want to cause that again this year. So I tried something a little different. I went ahead and purchased the books. It was very painful for me to do because that was hard for me to do. But I do know that our son will come up behind this daughter of ours who's in 8th grade and will be reading these same books. So I went ahead and I purchased these books. I'm going to show you this little stack of books I have here. And a lot of them for, looks like history and English and religion, but I will have them now. So I won't cause this little moment of stress and then these days where we still haven't gotten that book for this child, and those 5 pages or read for 20 minutes or read 25 pages of that book won't turn into the next day, read 50 pages of this book, oh, read 100 pages of this book because I haven't reserved it from the library. I'll let you know how this goes. I think this is a good idea. These are all classics. I'm not going to be sad that I have Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis in here. I'm so happy this was on their list. A couple other parts of our homeschool are reading the Holy Bible, and each of our kids has a Bible. I have a video about that if you want to check it out in my videos. Come back to the channel. I'm going to reveal to you in my next video my top supplies for school success in your homeschool. It's a very short list actually, and I think you're going to be surprised. So I'll see you in the next video.